Reports are now circulating that they want Canelo versus Triple G in September, possibly at the Dallas Cowboys Stadium, AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing if you want to become part of the gang. Gang, notification gang. Please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the Super Chat channel donations, the Venmo donations, the Cash App, and the Patreon family. We working. Sign up for ESPN Plus below using my link. It does help my channel tremendously when you guys click on that link. Click on the link, sign up for ESPN Plus. They got original docuseries, 30 for 30. They got a lot of programming like Detail, UFC pay-per-views, Top Rank Boxing, etc. So it's definitely worth your while. Click on the link, look into it, and see if you want to sign up. You can also bundle Disney Plus with Hulu and ESPN Plus, all three apps for $12.99 a month. I personally have all three and I enjoy it. There's so much content, you know, you gotta just like put a to-do list and, you know, prioritize what you want to see. So shout out to everyone that clicked on the link. Now, what you guys see in the title is Canelo Alvarez versus Triple G. This is not an official fight, but we know DAZN wants to fight, and now reports are coming out that Canelo and Triple G is being eyed for September, you know, if they get past their next fights. And they're talking about putting it at the Dallas Cowboys Stadium. And I think location, I covered Mikey Garcia versus Errol Spence at the Dallas Cowboys Stadium. Amazing, state-of-the-art, huge, you know, world-class venue. So I have no problem with the location. Jerry's World is I want to see a lot of large fights, you know, in that facility, because I really enjoyed it. There's some crazy views. The Jumbotron is huge. It's just big, spacious. Like even walking back to the cars once you cover the fight and going to leave it's a trek. It's a journey. So shout out to Big Texas. Everything is bigger in Texas. Now the downside is, to me, DAZN doesn't really know what they're doing for boxing. So a lot of their decision making is questionable. And I've been saying this for the longest with DAZN. I think they dropped the ball, and they have a couple of scenarios that they could have played or allowed to play out a bit better, and it would have helped them. For one, before making Triple G versus Derevyanchenko, right, they could have done Triple G versus Andrade, because Andrade is a WBO champion. Triple G was looking for big fights, and he had just signed to DAZN chasing Canelo. He basically followed where Canelo was at, because Canelo signed to DAZN platform before Triple G. Triple G was being looked at by PBC, ESPN, and also DAZN, and we knew he was chasing Canelo. So they offered him a good deal. They gave him some equity with Triple G Promotions, and, you know, that's the deal he took. Cool. So one thing that could have been done differently is, instead of Triple G versus a fight that nobody asked for, like Steve Rolls, is put him in there with Andrade. Then, since Canelo had already been fighting Danny Jacobs, that was a unification. Canelo won, so Canelo emerged as victorious versus Jacobs, took Jacobs' belt, and then the winner of Andrade Triple G would have immediately been able to go in there and face Canelo for undisputed at middleweight. And this, my friends, would be something that even HBO in the first Canelo Golovkin fights didn't happen. But in my opinion, they don't value Demetrius Andrade as they should, and they know he's a good fighter and could play spoiler, so they didn't want to chance it. So what they did is didn't chance it, and haven't given him a credible fight since he's been on DAZN, and that's just what it is. So they could have had something really special, again, that HBO didn't even have, which is Canelo versus either Andrade or Triple G, whoever were to win if they would have matched them together for undisputed. Squandered that opportunity. Instead, Canelo beat Jacobs and Triple G fought Steve Rolls. So that hurt Steve Rolls. That Steve Rolls fight hurt Triple G's stock, because people are like, man, who the hell is this guy? He has never fought in a 12-rounder before, never fought outside of Canada. You're fighting him at a catch weight. And then on top of that, in the fight, if you watch it, in the early rounds, Triple G didn't even really look great, you know, against this unheralded, unknown, inexperienced guy. He was getting touched up, you know, his face was getting, getting tagged with shots, you know. So it was a bad look. Then he knocks out Steve Rolls. Of course, he's not going to get no crazy credit. It was a catchweight against an unheralded guy he was supposed to beat, given the experience levels. And then, you know, it's just all downward from there. The other mistake that DAZN made, in my opinion, is not when they signed Canelo, they should have a little bit more say. You can't just throw somebody a bag and then Canelo don't want to fight certain guys. He don't want to fight Triple G, don't want to fight Charlo or Andre, and you can't make him fight who you want him to fight, but you're the one that is surrendering the bag. So all last year, DAZN was trying to make Canelo Triple G, and from industry sources, they're saying Canelo doesn't care about Triple G, doesn't want to put money in his pocket, and doesn't want to fight him, or didn't at the time, you know, so the fight never happened. So Triple G goes on to fight Deryevchenko because he's next up, because Canelo was trying to negotiate with Kovalev. He was complaining about the pay and saying, hey, I'm a light heavyweight champion. You got to respect me. I got a great resume. I fought Andre Ward. You know, some people even think I won that fight. I beat Bernard Hopkins, your promoter, with Golden Boy. So you got to come correct. This peanuts offers and lowball offers ain't good enough. And Kovalev stood his ground, and Golden Boy tried to call his bluff, and Kovalev went on to fight Anthony Yarde. In that fight, Kovalev was able to ultimately win by stoppage. However, he himself was almost stopped. His own trainer, if you go watch the fight in round 8 or 9 or whatever it was, Buddy McGirt, who had a fighter die last year based on injuries sustained in ring, Maxim Dadashev, Buddy McGirt, you know, he wasn't going to take no chances. He's like, the amount of punishment you just took, if I see any rounds anymore like that, then I'm pulling you out. I got to pull you out, Kovalev. And luckily for Kovalev, the next round he actually did better, and then he, you know, Yarde started getting tired, and he was able to beat him. So Canelo Kovalev, the first negotiations failed. So Canelo, on the quote-unquote Mexican dates, he had to give up the date. He said he was going to fight in September, but they waited, couldn't get him a fight, and, you know, it was just a bad look. Kovalev goes on, and he looks vulnerable. And then that's who Canelo decided to fight in November, but the world just seen Kovalev nearly get stopped. So that wasn't a good look. Plus, we know there was likely weight stipulations against Kovalev, you know. And then after the Kovalev negotiation, they tried to preserve the September date by fighting Canelo, who was then the IBF champion. They tried to have him fight the mandatory, which was Sergey Derevchenko, but they had wasted so much time with Kovalev that they needed to give the IBF a date, and, you know, they held out as long as they could, and Derevchenko still wasn't promised a fight. He complained about being offered low money, and the fight didn't happen. So Golden Boy made a pact with the IBF. Hey, if we can't get the Derevchenko fight over the line by said date, which was like a Monday, then we'll just give up the belt. And then that's what he did. So Canelo gave up that belt, the IBF belt. He gave up earlier in the year the WBC belt by not fighting Jermall Charlo, who was Golovkin's mandatory. And then when Canelo beat Golovkin, became Canelo's problem, Canelo's mandatory. So it's just been downhill from then. And now they're trying to force feed us Canelo versus Triple G. But if you look at Triple G's last fight, which leads me to that, he almost got stopped by Derevchenko, or at the very least dropped. It wasn't a good night for him. A lot of people, including myself, believe it was a robbery, and Deryevchenko was the honest winner in that fight. But conveniently in Triple G fights, probably because the money and, you know, the anticipation for a Canelo fight, conveniently the judges, when Triple G's in a close fight, he still gets unanimous decisions, i.e. his fight with Danny Jacobs. I thought Jacobs beat him as well. And conveniently, it's not even a split decision, majority decision, a draw. He just gets a clean, unanimous decision victory. And I find it hard to believe that he keeps getting, especially, I thought Derevchenko beat Triple G better than Canelo and Jacobs. Even though I thought Canelo won the second fight, thought Jacobs won his fight with Triple G. Derevchenko got that version of Triple G, and he did the best with him, right? And that being said, he still gets a unanimous decision over Deryevchenko, which is BS, because I have a hard time believing that all the three judges, the whole world watched the fight, including Canelo, who's on record saying Triple G lost to Deryevchenko. Google it, you know, so it's not just my personal opinion, new media, Eagles Army opinion. Canelo himself says that Derevyanchenko won. Devin Haney and Jarrell Big Baby Miller and a bunch of boxing fans and boxers were in the crowd for that fight, and they were immediately interviewed, which you can also find on YouTube, and they all said that Triple G really lost that fight, you know, and he didn't look like hot stuff, right? Now DAZN, for whatever reason, they're trying to put this in AT&T Stadium, but so much has changed since the second encounter between Canelo versus Triple G, and yet and still they're still trying to force feed us this fight like it's as big. Now, I don't know. In terms of attendance, maybe you could get attendance just because AT&T Stadium doesn't get a ton of fights. I don't know. I don't know how many people would show up. Canelo has a strong pool in Texas, so we don't know. But in terms of like viewership and long-term subscribers, I think at this point there's better fights. Like Canelo David Benavidez in Texas, to me, is a better fight. Canelo versus Charlo in Texas is a better fight because Triple G, for all intents and purposes, he just doesn't look the same and he doesn't look as fresh, and we've already seen 24 rounds of this. Triple G hasn't been able to hurt Canelo enough to put him down and or stop him. Now Canelo has since moved up to 175 and knocked out Kovalev, and he's about to fight likely Billy Joe Saunders at 168, and he fought Rocky Fielding and destroyed him in 3 rounds at 168. So he has advantages with youth, advantages in defense, advantages in pure skill set and momentum if he gets past Billy Joe Saunders that Triple G doesn't. Triple G's resume has been watered down since the Canelo fight, except for the Derevyanchenko fight, which is conveniently the fight I'm telling you he lost. Fighting Steve Rolls, and he might fight Camille Sesmeta. He was supposed to fight Camille Sesmeta in February, but they haven't announced it because they said he got kicked out of the snack program and he got injured. He has some kind of calf injury. So his body's breaking up, or either that or they're making it up to because they don't have a game plan of what they want to do. You know, maybe they just go straight into the Canelo fight because Triple G can't afford to look bad again. The Canelo fight will really be shot. So I already think the Canelo Triple G is on his last leg. I don't know who would even pick Golovkin to win, especially if they do it at 168, a catch weight of 164, 165. It's going to be the Canelo show. So I just don't think it'll be, I think it'll disappoint people. So, you know, that's my honest thoughts. They could put it at the AT&T Stadium. We'll see. But I think instead of being Mike Alvarado versus Brandon Rios 1 or 2, I think it'll be Mike Alvarado versus Brandon Rios 3. Just a fight that just doesn't live up to a trilogy, you know. And like I said, you have other storylines in boxing, other great fresh fights. Joe Joyce, Daniel Dubois, Teofimo versus Lomachenko looking likely. You have a great storyline in Saga with Tyson Fury becoming the WBC belt and Wilder trying to get his belt back in the trilogy. There's just better fights. There's better fights, blockbuster fights. You know, I think people with Wilder's costume excuse and Tyson Fury Glovegate, I think that's a bigger fight than Canelo Triple G. But previously, that wouldn't have been the case. When, you know, after Mayweather fought Conor McGregor and that kind of outshined Canelo Triple G won. But the second fight, Canelo Triple G, that was one of the bigger fights, the bigger blockbuster fights of the year, you know. And I just think so much has changed. And DAZN and the brainpower of DAZN, they are not taking any of this into consideration. They're just acting like, oh, okay, this is a pre-made fight. HBO put on 1 and 2, and it did over 1 million both times, so we'll have good traffic. But boxing oftentimes doesn't work like that because timing is everything in boxing. Momentum, you know. I don't think Triple G particularly. Canelo at least has a good resume. He doesn't have momentum. But, you know, even though I would favor Canelo versus Billy Joe Saunders, if he does fight him, which is rumored, he's tricky. So he could possibly make Canelo look bad. So I think they're looking too far out regardless. And needless to say, Canelo Triple G ain't it and ain't the fight that it once was, at least in my book. Let me know what you guys think. Ego's Army, salute to all your support and dedication. Click on the ESPN link if you guys are interested in signing up. Let me know what you guys think of Canelo Triple G Part 3. How bad do you want to see it? On a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being an excellent fight and an excellent trilogy, how bad do you want to see Canelo versus Golovkin 3 on a scale of 0 to 10? Drop me a comment with your ranking and your rating. And, I want to see how many people agree or disagree with me. Make sure you smash the like button. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego, signing off.
So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button. And you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.